All right, what's popping? What's popping? What's popping? I guess some you heard of this and some you haven't, but uh think Kyrie Irving, NBA star Kyrie Irving made about two apologies. And according to some sources, after his second apology that he made, uh his suspension from the NBA got lifted. So therefore, according to certain sources, that Kyrie Irving is no longer suspended, in which I knew that was going to happen anyway. And I don't know why people act so surprised. And I'm saying that because when I'm watching different YouTube videos of people speaking about the situation, I'm reading the comments and I hear people, I read the comments of people saying, well, oh yeah, I'm hurt. I'm hurt that of what Kyrie Irving was put through all this time. I'm hurt at the fact that he had to apologize for being outspoken, or I'm hurt over this. I'm hurt over what happened to him. I'm hurt this. I'm hurt that. I'm hurt. I'm hurt. I'm hurt. I'm hurt. And it's like, and the majority of people who saying this are so-called black people. And the reason why I mentioned that they're so-called black people, of course, is because it's like, when are so-called black people going to realize that in this game of life, it all comes down to this: who has power? All right, who has power? Once again, like I said in my past few videos, pertaining to this topic, what's going on, sheep? We here pertaining to this topic. Let's break the shit down. Kyrie Irving. He's a what's up, anti-social socialite podcast. Kyrie Irving. He is a professional athlete and or a professional basketball player who plays for the National Basketball Association. The National Basketball Association is owned by a commissioner called Adam Silver. Adam Silver is who? He's a small hat, right? So he belongs to the group of people who felt offended at what Kyrie Irving did when he shared a link a link to a documentary on Amazon that the small hats felt was quote unquote anti-Semitic, right? But let me break down this power thing. So Kyrie Irving basically worked for the same group of people who got offended at what he did. Thus, that group of people have the power to take his job away from him. This is power, folks. And these same group of people have a lot of political influence and political power, and they own the mainstream media. Thus, they have the power to utilize the media that we all consume in order to portray either a heroic picture of somebody or a villainous picture of somebody. This is power. These same these same people, these same groups of people who felt offended at what Kyrie Irving has done also owns Holly Weird. This is power. These same groups of people are well united, well organized, and own a whole lot of Fortune 500 companies, including your YouTube. You do know that, right? You do know that YouTube, which is owned by Google, and Google is owned by a corporation called Alphabet Inc. And Alphabet Inc., the CEO and founder of Alphabet Inc., is a small hat. All right? Once again, I'm just showing the power structure. So basically, a lot of your famous black, you know, elite, professional athletes, entertainers, they work for them. So basically, they are being paid by the small hats, right? The small hats are the ones that put the millions of dollars in their pockets. The small hats are the ones who portray them on television or in your magazines and place them in this, place this image about them as if they're high above everybody else, that gives you, the regular person, a perspective to put them in such a high pedestal. So these people, the small hats, have what it takes to make you or break you. This is power. And this is the position that Kyrie Irving is in. He works for the people that's in power, and he done something that made them upset. So of course, if you work for the same people who you have angered and made upset, and they have the power to just make or break your whole career, they're going to utilize that power as leverage over your black ass. To the point of the fact that they're going to make an example out of you, as with Kyrie Irving. Where they totally have the power to make a person like Kyrie Irving make a public apology in front of the whole world over something as little as copy and paste a link to a documentary from Amazon. This is power, and power always wins. And since you niggas don't own any professional sports leagues, with the exception of Ice Cube, since you niggas haven't put yourself in a position of political, socio-political, and economic independence so you can have your own infrastructure. Likewise, a person like Kyrie Irving is at the mercy of another group of people who have power over him. Nigga, this is what power does. Power always have the last laugh. Hold on, let me edit my title, because in the title of this video, I'll put power always has the last laugh, where that doesn't make sense. It should be power always have the last laugh. So let me change it. Okay. Power always have the last laugh. Where's your media syndicates, Negro? Where are your many production companies in Hollywood, Negro? I mean, what industry do you own, Negro? I mean, what type of ownership and control do you have in this society, to the point of the fact that you could tell people to kiss your ass? Because the only time you could tell another motherfucker to kiss your motherfucking ass is if you have the power to do so. I mean, where are your organizations that protect so-called black people? You can't say the NAACP, because the NAACP was started and owned by small hats. I mean, yes, W.E.B. Du Bois, also founded it too, but he founded it with the help of small hats. You can't say Black Lives Matter, because the major financier of Black Lives Matter is George Soros. And George Soros is, guess what? A small hat. So these same groups of people even own organizations that are supposed to be, that even own, or at least have some sort of major control over organizations that are supposed to be for the advancement of so-called black people, right? So Kanye West was right when he said that those same groups of people own the so-called black voice, or so-called black voices. I mean, what do you control, Negro? You don't control shit in this society but your fucking mouths. You have no power. And you cannot, it's so, and it's like, it fascinates me that when so-called black people witness situations like this, like the Kyrie Irving situation, like the Kanye West situation, or what's this guy's name? or other similar situations. They come up and make all these videos on social media to give 101 opinions about the situation. They speak from an emotional standpoint, talking about how upset they are, how pissed off they are, but little do they understand that at the end of the day, this shit is about power. So if a group of powerless people, if someone who belongs to a group of powerless people do something to make powerful people upset, that person who belongs to the group of powerless people is always going to lose. They're always going to lose, and they're always going to be made an sorry. And they're always going to be made an example of. What's going on, Toya? What's up, Toya? At the end of the motherfucking day, this shit is about power. And the one who has the power will always have the last laugh. The one who has the power will always be the one to dictate the outcome of the situation. And it's evident what happened with this whole Kyrie Irving saga, right? Which now the saga ends. Kyrie Irving made 2 more public apologies. He the small hats made an example out the nigga. And as a result, he's back in the NBA playing basketball. And anybody with a brain shouldn't be surprised at the outcome. I wasn't surprised at the outcome. As a matter of fact, I've been knew it was going to happen. Why? Because Kyrie Irving belongs to a group of people who are powerless. And unfortunately, the group of people that he belongs to that's powerless don't have enough economic infrastructure to form, with the exception of Ice Cube, to form their own leagues so Kyrie could tell the NBA, kiss my ass, I'm playing and I'm utilizing my talents elsewhere in this black owned league, right? And I'm going to make my millions here. And at the end of the day, Kyrie has a mouth to feed. He has a child. He has children. He has a wife. He's probably taking care of, his dad. I mean, I can't say his mom because his mom passed away, unfortunately. He's probably taking care of other family members and shit like that. So he's relying. So it's not only him, but it's plenty of other people that's close to him that's relying on him to go out and play for these small hats so he could provide the millions of dollars, so he could provide for his family and loved ones. So he had no choice but to apologize in order for he could go back in that court and make money for he could feed himself and his family. And he wouldn't be in this position if so-called black people focused on getting the independent economic and social and political power to take care of themselves and make millions off of themselves. But niggas don't think like that. This is about power, nigga. Power has the last laugh. Excuse me. Power always have the last laugh, and they will always have the last laugh. If you're going to learn anything about this whole situation with Kyrie Irving, the one major thing you should learn is that power dictates what happens. All right? People want to say, oh, Kyrie Irving told the truth. So what? Yes, he told it. Well, he didn't say nothing, but let's just go by that statement. So he told the truth. So what? You have no power. So whatever truth you tell means nothing. See when it comes to power, the only ones who tell the truth, or the only ones that say something that is perceived as true by the majority of the population, are the ones in power that's doing the talking. Which is why Which is why a lot of so-called black people, we always say that whenever a so-called black person says something, a lot of people don't believe him, but let a Caucasian person say that same thing, everyone in the world believes him. Why? Because that Caucasian person belongs to a group of people who are in a position of power and thus utilize their power to make the whole world bow down to them and put them in a pedestal. To the point of fact that people look at them as gods, literally, which is why so many churches, have a picture of Jesus that look just like them, even though historically, so-called, well, I won't say so-called, but even though historically, the one who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, the Son of God, is one dark ass motherfucker. But because Caucasians have had the power for the past few hundred years, they're able to convince you guys that Jesus looks like them, thus connecting themselves closer to God, thus having the whole world look at them in such a in such a um with such levels of superiority, to the point of the fact that people all over the world believe whatever comes out of a white boy or a white woman's lips because they have the power to make people believe whatever the fuck that they say. It all comes down to power. Negro, I saw a video today, right? Online, in which a group of Hebrew Israelites, right? A Hebrew Israelite organization called Israel United in Christ. For those of you who are members of the Hebrew Israelite community like I am, you guys are already aware of the congregation called Israel United in Christ, also known as IUIC. They are a Hebrew Israelite congregation that wears purple and gold gowns, right? And they was marching on front of the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. And for those of you who's into basketball, you know that the Barclays Center in Brooklyn is the home arena of the Brooklyn Nets, which is the team that Kyrie Irving plays for currently, right? So the IUIC, that Hebrew Israelite group, was marching um, all up and down around the Barclays Center. And they were sitting there shouting, making chants and shit like that. And at the end of the day, they went home. So when I was looking at that, my question is, okay, what have you niggas accomplished? Because at the end of the day, Kyrie Irving still apologized. Thus, he agreed to the accusations that the Anti-Defamation League put on him, and he did that so he could get the NBA suspension lifted off of him, so he would go back to play basketball. That marching and chanting didn't do shit. Like, there's no power in marching around a fucking arena and chanting and shouting. There's no power in that. The only thing you got was good. The only thing that group got was good exercise in the cold weather while having 15 seconds of fame. Not even 15 minutes. These niggas didn't even get 15 minutes of fame. They got 15 seconds of fame. That shit does nothing. And that's one of the things that sickens me with so-called black people when they respond in response to situations like these. When it comes to them responding to situations like these, they always end up doing some symbolic bullshit. trying to be all symbolic, walking, marching, holding picket signs. I mean, these brothers didn't hold picket signs, but I'm just being in general when it comes to situations like these, right? They always want to do something symbolic, but they don't want to sit there and come together and unite and organize together so they can establish social, political, and economic power. To me, it's bullshit. I mean, Negroes still have not learned out of all these years that it is a must for us to come together, unite and organize together. We don't have to like each other. We don't have to agree with every single thing that we believe in and say, but at least come together and agree on actually um improving our conditions and establish a level of power in this world so we can stop being pushed around by other races of people. What's up, Rest in Faith? What's up, Rest in Faith? Yeah. Let me. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rest in Faith. Thank you, Rest in Faith. Thank you, Rest in Faith. You said, I've been watching you for years. Wacky, you are intelligent, handsome, and your words speak power. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's like, when are we going to realize that this world is all about power? It don't. It doesn't matter who tells the truth. It doesn't matter who you know it doesn't matter if the so-called, well, I won't say so-called. It doesn't matter if the Hebrew Israelites are so-called black people or not. What matters in this world is power. Now, I'm not trying to be hypocritical because somebody might watch me and say, "Well, Wacky, you claim to be you profess to be a Hebrew Israelite, and you just said it doesn't matter if the Hebrews are black and black." Well, I'm like, yeah. When it comes to attaining power in society, no one cares. No one cares if the Hebrew Israelites are so-called black people or not. If you don't have the power to make the world bow down and believe and understand that shit, then that shit doesn't matter. I mean, let me use the small hats for an example, right? Their ancestors converted to Judaism. These groups of people are not the true, are not from, historically speaking, I'm speaking from a historical context. Historically speaking, they're not the descendants of the biblical Israelites, right? A lot of people know that already. What I'm saying should be common sense to anyone that fucking reads a book, right? But they end up developing the power to come together to actually get the world to actually think that they're the true descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, even though they're not. And as much information as there is available right now to actually prove who the true descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are, the world still believes that the small hats are God's chosen people. Why? Because the small hats have had the power to brainwash the society to believe that. That's what power does. That's what power does. That's what power. That is what power does. This society is about power. So when I hear so-called black males go on the internet and waste their time crying and complaining about some about a group of undesirable females not finding them attractive, they're wasting their fucking time. I mean, I've stated this before, and I'm going to state this again, that social media, if used correctly, can be a very powerful tool to get like-minded people to come together, for we can actually to communicate together, for we can actually come together and do something substantial out in the real world. But you got black males that want to come here, come online, and be on a panel for hours at a time to cry about some stank ass pussy that don't want nothing to do with them. That's weak as fuck. Meanwhile, you got other groups of people that's focused on getting more power and more power and more power. Yeah, Toya, from the words of J.J. Evans, I know. Remember good times? Good times when somebody complimented JJ and he starts blushing, talking about, I know. But thank you, Toya. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, man. What up, Deshaun? Or Dante Deshaun, what up? Yeah. Yeah, power in economics. Power in economics. Kyrie Irving, what happened with Kyrie Irving is an example when a powerless person does something to make powerful people upset. And at the end of the day, the people with power will always have the last laugh because they will always succeed in making an example out of the powerless person. Why? Because they have the power to do that. It's that easy. Motherfuckers walk around talking about how they sad about Kyrie Irving apologizing. They're upset. They sad. I'm like, okay. All this fake ass sadness that you have online, right? All this phony shit up, this phony concept of sadness you have online. But you guys have not learned about this situation that it's about power, and that should make so-called black people think and say, you know what? We need to stop fucking around, stop playing around, stop committing criminal acts towards each other, stop killing each other. Stop doing all this division towards each other, and let's unite and organize and gain some power up in this motherfucker. I mean, you want to know why the police, a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times, can shoot and kill an unarmed nigga and get away with it, and at times not even be indicted in a court of law? Because nigga, you don't have any power to make them pay the consequences of what they've done. It might sound cold-hearted coming from me. It might sound cold-hearted. And to a degree, it is cold-hearted. But it's also true. Like I said before, when it comes to the world, to how the world is, guess what? It's not fair. It's not right. But it's reality. And the reality about the whole Kyrie Irving saga is that you got a powerless person who upset powerful people, and you have other groups of powerless people expecting this powerless person to be defiant towards these powerful people when this powerless person don't have any protection from his own people to secure him and his family and his finances when in the verge of being quote unquote defiant against these powerful people. And that's another thing. You know, you so-called black people, you want these famous and influential black people to stand up for you. You want these entertainers and these athletes to utilize their fame and influence to speak up on the state of black people. But when the powerful person, when the people who was in a group who excuse me, when the people who are in a position of power drop they fucking nuts and make these so-called black people suffer, the masses of black people do not come together to protect those few famous black people who put their careers on the line and put their reputation on the line to speak up for them. How many of you niggas are coming together to protect Kanye West? I mean, a lot of you so-called black people side with Kanye West and believe that there's nothing wrong with what he said. You believe he's in the right. Okay, fine. If you believe that he's in the right, and then a lot of you people believe that he's standing up for us. Okay, if you believe that, why don't you come together and protect his ass? A lot of you so-called black people believe that Kyrie Irving, what he's doing something that's right. And he's standing up for our people. Okay, if you believe that with Kyrie Irving, why don't you niggas come together and protect his ass? Right, right, She'd said we are the only people that think just being black is enough, not giving the money or anything but others give money to hurt us. Exactly. What did you expect when it comes to Kyrie Irving? Did you expect this nigga to lose all his money and go broke at the expense of standing up for your ass? While you niggas don't do shit to protect him and his family? What if people like Kyrie Irving or Kanye West end up getting killed? You know, I mean, I mean, I hope that never happens. God forbid. Let's say hypothetically speaking, God forbid, if Kyrie Irving gets assassinated for doing the little stuff that he did, because there's some crazy folks out there that will go as far as to take a person's life just for somebody like I'm sorry. There are people out there that will go to that extreme and take someone's life for doing something similar to what Kyrie Irving did. What happens if, God forbid, somebody go after Kyrie Irving and harm him physically, or even worse, his family? Where will you niggas be to protect him and his family? You niggas will be nowhere. You niggas will just be making more posts on the internet talking about, oh, that's too bad what happened. Oh, that's too bad. Kanye West has 4 children. What if, God forbid, once again, I hope this never happens. What if, God forbid, that someone got mad at what Kanye West said? The Twitter post. Someone got upset at Kanye West's Twitter post, right? Or maybe they got mad at other things that Kanye West said about the small hats and decided to assassinate him, or even worse, do some sort of physical harm to his family. What are you niggas going to do in response to that? I know the answer to that. Nothing. Y'all just going to make more posts on social media talking about, oh, that's too bad. Not only are you Negroes powerless, but you don't even do anything to protect the people who stand up for y'all. Let me tell you something about the small hats, right? Okay. Take a guy like Jerry Seinfeld for a minute, the famous comedian Jerry Seinfeld, right? Let's just say, God forbid, once again, I hope this never happens, but God forbid, if some idiot goes out and causes physical harm to Jerry Seinfeld, and Jerry Seinfeld, he's a small hat, right? Do you know there are people that's going to make sure that whoever that person that caused any harm to um um any physical harm to Jerry Seinfeld will not be alive. Trust me. If some idiot was dumb enough to cause any physical harm to Jerry Seinfeld, you're going to have an organization like the JDL, the Jewish Defense League, that's going to make sure that individual disappears. Okay? If you guys know about the Jewish Defense League, I mean, they are an organization sort of like the Anti-Defamation League that fights against so-called anti-Semitism, but they also have a reputation of having a hit squad behind them. For so if you hurt their people, you're going to get touched. Well, that's gangster shit. Do we have that in Black America? Do we have a black JDL in America, or the black version of a JDL in America? Huh? Huh? Do we have an organization that if one of our own who speaks up for us gets assassinated, that whoever's the suspect will be harmed? Do we have that? I mean, so-called black people want, rich and famous black folks to utilize their fame and influence to speak up for the things that the masses of so-called black people go through, but refuse to organize together to gain power to be able to make sure that our own kind won't get hurt in the process of speaking up for us. What type of shit is that? But yet we will organize together all over the country to kill each other. We will organize together and go after a rapper and threaten to cause him harm just because he said a gangbanger's name. Does Rick Ross ring a bell? You remember when Rick Ross made a song and said, in the song they said, they call me Big Meech. Larry Hoover. So because he said Larry Hoover's name in a song, you know, you got different members of the Gangster Disciples across different parts of the United States making videos talking about, well, if you know, well, if Rick Ross comes to my town to make a show, we're gonna make sure that he gets hurt. You know, I mean, he didn't. Rick Ross didn't even say anything disrespectful or derogatory towards Larry Hoover. He just said Larry Hoover's name. And you got all these different GDs all up and down America that wanted to cause him some harm. But yet, when it comes to affluent so-called black people who rebel against the system and speak up against the mistreatment that black people have received and is still receiving, when something happens to that person, you don't see these gang members all around the country talking about how, you know, we're going to protect this person and whoever hurts him is going to get hurt. We don't see that shit. We don't see that shit. I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, I don't want to make you guys think that I'm jumping from topic to topic. I'm just giving examples of how powerless we really are as a collective. We're powerless. And as powerless as we want to have, you know, a few famous blacks to speak up against powerful people. When these very few famous blacks don't have enough power to back them up for so they could be able to rub shoulders with these people in power. I mean, come on now. You expect a person like Kyrie Irving to stand up against the same group of people that he relies on for him to live because he works for the small hats. The overall majority of famous and affluent so-called black people work for the small hats. Thus, the small hats have enough power to dictate what they can and cannot say. It's not fair, but it's reality. And one of the biggest reasons why this reality is the way it is because we as a people have failed to actually establish infrastructure of our own for so we won't have to be working under nobody. What you thought was going to happen with Kyrie Irving? You thought he was going to stand defiant against the same people that he relies on to pay him for so he could take care of himself and his family? Because you niggas was not going to do that. What do you expect realistically? What do you niggas expect? I mean, this is not something that shocked me. Once again, like I said before, I knew this was going to happen because I understand power. I understand power. I understand the position of people who are in power, and I definitely understand the position of people who are not in power. And I understand that when the power and the powerless clashes, the people in power always wins. This shit is about power. And until so-called black people as a collective understands that and understand that it is necessary for us to organize together so we can gain power, then expect these types of situations to have the same outcome. You can't expect a person who works for another group of people to be defiant against the group of people that he works for and remain defiant when the group of people that he works for control whether or not he gets paid. People don't understand. There's a lot of power in the dollar. All right. There's a lot of power in the dollar. The one who controls the dollar is the ones that have the power, man. And if we don't control our own dollars, what power are we going to have to stand up against any other group of people that have control over the dollar or their own control over the dollar? Let's be realistic here. What's going on, Lawrence Guy? What's going on? You know, if you don't understand the game of power, you're not going to understand shit. This is a power game. And you can't expect to for so-called black people to stand up and trying to be this modern day Huey P. Newton, but yet not fight to trying to get power. You know, a lot of these so-called black people are sitting there focusing on a lot of you so-called black people are so focused on Kyrie Irving. You're so focused on Kanye West, but you're not focused on Byron Allen and what he's trying to do. Because Byron Allen, a so-called black billionaire, an independent black billionaire, is actually showing the world what happens when he's what happens when he's in the verge of attaining more and more economic power and the wars he have to face with the opposing team who's trying to, limit his power. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say this. Byron Allen's situation where he's suing McDonald's is more important to so-called black people than what happened with Kyrie Irving and Kanye West. Because Byron Allen is going after the power. He's going after the power. There's a big reason why the mainstream media is not that focused on Byron Allen's situation and his civil suit against McDonald's. Byron Allen's going after the power. He's going after the power. While you guys are worried about Kyrie Irving and Kanye West not being not being accepted in, or not being or not being part of the so-called inclusionary process, you got Byron Allen that's out here fighting for the power. Yeah, MOT, yeah. That's true. A lot of people try to clown Byron Allen for suing for discrimination. And those people who tried to clown Byron Allen are stupid as fuck because they don't understand power. They're dumb. I mean, they're stupid as fuck because they was born that way. But also on top of that, they don't understand power. But when someone's stupid as fuck, of course they're not gonna understand power. You know, you guys are, you guys are on social media, complaining about Kyrie Irving and Kanye West not being a part of this inclusionary process. Meanwhile, ignoring Byron Allen that's fighting for power. Byron Allen is, his whole point really, okay, he got the civil suit against McDonald's, right? But his whole point is for so-called black entrepreneurs to be able to do business freely in America without having any type of um any type of constraint that other entrepreneurs are not facing. For so black entrepreneurs can have more and more power. But no, you niggas are more focused on Kyrie Irving. This is ridiculous, man. And if not, you niggas are sitting there still focused on stink piece of pussy. I mean, the low level thinking of so called black people on social media sometimes makes me think that I'm not from this planet. I can't be from this planet. This is why this is one of the reasons why I named my channel The Wacky World of O. Because I do really feel that I live in my own planet. And my planet must be wacky as hell in comparison to the planet that a lot of niggas on here live at. Because it seems as if being realistic, being logical, and being rational is strange. In comparison to the many, in the eyes of the many stupid people that unfortunately live in this world, it seems as if having logic, being realistic, and having rational thinking is strange. And because I've been cursed with having uh, logic, rational thinking, and being realistic, I don't think I was born in this earth. I don't. I think I was born in another planet. You know, I truly think that I was born in this planet. Yeah, I was born on that planet. It may look like Earth, but it got a ring around it, and it's called Wacky World. That's where I'm from. And just like Superman, right? Just like Superman, right? I think that the planet, was on the verge of blowing up. So, my real parents put me in this rocket ship as a baby and ship me out to this fucking planet? Because growing up in this planet, I always felt different from a whole lot of fucking people because I think rationally. And most people in this world don't. I must not be from this planet. Exactly, man of tomorrow. Exactly, man of tomorrow. No one with non-white leadership has to go through what Byron Allen had to go through. Exactly. Yeah, that's true. And Lawrence Goss said, they don't know or see how many things Byron Allen's name is on. Nothing from him, but he's the Black Dick Clark. Wow. Word. The Kyrie Irving saga has closed, and it closed with him making two more apologies. I think Kyrie, this is a combination of Kyrie Irving. Okay, Kyrie Irving gave a combination of three apologies. I think he gave a combination of three apologies. Like before the suspension was official from the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie Irving gave an apology on Twitter. But then after the suspension, Kyrie Irving gave two apologies. And after his second apology, his suspension was lifted. That's power, man. That's power. The small hats have the power to financially cripple a person like Kyrie Irving and force him to apologize for something that upset them. That's power. As a matter of fact, it's not only is it power, it's fucking gangster. That's some gangster shit. You got to respect that, though. You may not agree with that, but you got to respect the power that the small hats have in getting people to do that. Power always have the last laugh. Peace out.